Hello fellow cinephiles, Film Guru here. Today I'm reviewing the long-delayed The New Mutants. This was directed by Josh Boone and stars Anya Taylor-Joy, Maisie Williams and Blue Hunt. The film really follows 5 young mutants who discover their abilities while held in a secret facility against their will, fight to escape their past sins and save themselves. The film sort of opens up where we're introduced to Blue Hunt's character, Danielle Moonstar. After the tragedy strikes and she's knocked unconscious, she wakes up in this hospital. She doesn't quite know where she is or what she's doing there. And as the film unfolds, we get to learn that she's in a facility, a hospital, with other people who have abilities. She has an ability, but she doesn't quite know what it is. And the film really looks at what it might be. And she only works that out as the film goes along. Then we're introduced to 4 other really interesting characters that all have abilities that we learn throughout the film. And it's really about them trying to work out who they are, what their abilities are, where they are, and how to get out of where they are and live a normal sort of quote-unquote normal life. This is a film that's been delayed for so many times and pushed back, and there was talks about reshoots, which never really happened. And then the film sort of finally came out. It took so long for it to come out, and I think it's a little too late for this movie, in that we had the last 2 X-Men films weren't really very good, and the anticipation for this to be a little better and a bit darker didn't quite get there. It did have those elements to it, but it just wasn't as good as what I expected it to be. Like, it was okay, but it wasn't brilliant. I tend to agree with a lot of what the critics and reviewers are saying. I'll start with the things I did like about the film. I like it was a little darker. I like the setting of this sort of hospital. You're not quite sure where it is or why they're there. I kind of like that aspect. I like that they all have this sort of bit of a backstory about how their abilities first appeared and their trauma and things that they've gone through and how they have to overcome them. I like the look and the design of the hospital and the outside sort of world. I like it set in one location mostly, and I think they're able to use that location really effectively within the film. I thought some of the abilities that the characters had were kind of interesting, a little different. I like how they sort of have to find themselves in order to become the heroes they want to be or the people they want to be, and I really like that. And I think all the acting is solid. Blue Hunt, sort of an actress I don't really know, who's sort of come on to it, and this is sort of one of her early films, and I kind of thought she was sort of solid as Danielle. I think Charlie Heaton, who's from Stranger Things, is solid here. His abilities is kind of interesting. We only get one little glimpse of his backstory though, and I would have liked a bit more. I think Maisie Williams is solid as Rain. This Rain sort of character has an interesting ability where she can transform into something, and I really like that. But I think by far the best thing about this film, and the character and performance that really steals the movie, is by Anya Taylor-Joy. Her Ileana Rasputin is a fantastic character, and her abilities are kind of extraordinary, and they're sort of more magic-based than the other characters. And I like that. I like you get to see that some of the trauma she's been through, and she's haunted by these figures with just mouths, no eyes. And they all have these smiley faces, and they're long and thin and they're creepy, and they sort of come after her. And I like the look of and design of these characters, and I like that aspect to her backstory. I think Anya Taylor-Joy is really fascinating and interesting actress. She does a really great performance here. She brings some interesting elements to the character that I really liked. And just every time she was on screen, I enjoyed that aspect of the movie. But that's all I really liked about it. It was disappointing. It wasn't as dark as it really could have been. It sort of had references to Logan and stuff like that. And I think they could have went more the Logan route. And in a lot of ways, it feels like there could have been a much more darker cut of this film, and I'd like to see when it finally comes out on DVD if there is a director's cut. It feels like rather than Disney forcing him to do reshoots, I'd say cut out the darker elements, the more violent, the more gruesome parts of the film. And I think the film could have been unique and different if it had these elements, because it really felt like a horror-esque version of the X-Men, and that's what the trailer set up, but we didn't quite get that. And I thought that was kind of disappointing. There was flashes and elements of it there, but it just wasn't enough. And I felt if we had got this in the final film, it would have been a much better experience and something different. But it just feels a bit of a run-of-the-mill film. It doesn't introduce anything really new and interesting and unique. It's just sort of similar to the other X-Men films in many ways. And from the beginning, I had to ask myself this question through the whole film: why should I care? And they never really gave me a reason why I should care. There was no moment where we really felt connected to any of the characters. There wasn't enough backstory about who they were and their abilities and where they came from for us to really connect to and feel for. And we're just sort of thrown into the world, and things are revealed throughout, but not enough to get the essence of who the characters really are and what their abilities are and why they're there. And I kind of felt that's what let the film down quite a bit. I just didn't care about them enough. Even though I was entertained in parts and I thought there were some good ideas in it, it just didn't feel that connection that I really wanted to. I felt the film was a bit too short. It should have been probably a 2-hour film, and maybe there is a cut out there, it's 2 hours, because it just felt really short and rushed, and we didn't really get a sense of anything or anybody within the film because of the short running time. And it just was probably one of the most disappointing films I've seen in a while. Final thoughts. At the essence, it's really about characters overcoming something they've been through and stuff they feel responsible for, and the quote-unquote sins they feel they have done towards people, and the way they've hurt people, and how they have to overcome this, and how they do overcome this to work as a team, but also to heal themselves and to accept who they are, and to learn how to control the ability that they've sort of been given. I'm going to give New Mutants 3 out of 5. I thought it was okay. Some elements were good. There was some entertainment value to it. Like I said, Anya Taylor-Joy was probably one of the best things about it, but it just wasn't a very good film, unfortunately. Anyway, that's all from me today. Thanks for watching. I hope you enjoyed this video, and if you did, please hit subscribe down the bottom. Follow me on Facebook and Twitter. Otherwise, until next time, enjoy the movies.